Hey guys, welcome back to another video in this channel. My name is Abraham Lil, and today I have a cool little tutorial for you. Someone asked, I don't remember when it was, but probably like a couple of weeks ago, about doing a neon sign. And I thought, yeah, that looks fine. I mean, it's relatively easy, but I want to show you a very cool trick that we can use. So let's jump onto the mainstream right here. Now, I did change the volume on the, like on my microphone and everything, because I think some of the highs were going a little bit too high. So you might have to like turn it up a little bit compared to other videos. Now, before we continue, a couple of announcements. I am going to be opening the link to our new portfolio review that's going to be happening in 2 weeks. So on the week of March, I believe it's 10 and 11. 12 and 13, March 12 and 13, we'll have our next portfolio reviews. So submissions are going to be open starting today with this video, and they're going to be open until that day, okay? So just follow the link down here, and it's going to take you to a Google Drive file. Make a folder with your name and drop anything that you need over there, okay? I mean, for your portfolio, of course. The second thing, today is the last day of our special sale, our end of the month sale, and the celebration of our 20,000 subscribers. So remember, the 3 courses that we released this month are going to be on sale until today. So today is the last time you can pick up this discount. Make sure to check the links down below. That's for the Hard Surface for Maya course, that's for the Blender 3.0 course, and that's for the Substance Painter course. So make sure to check that out if those are any of the courses that you wanna grab. So I'm gonna make this really simple, and there's a couple of things that we can do. First of all, I want to show you the SVGs. This is a little tool that we have. So let me see if I can find like a D20 SVG. It's gonna be a little bit difficult. I really don't know where to get like free SVGs. But technically you could get, there we go, freesvgs.org. That sounds like a place to get free SVGs, right? So let me see if there's like an outline of this die. Nah, maybe not. Well, that's fine. Let's do something cool instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to the poly modeling section, and there's a lot of things we can do. Let's do like Nexttut. I think that's very obvious, right? So I'm going to go here to type, and I'm just going to type Nexttut. Oop. And what I need, or what I want to get, is actually curves. I want to create curves out of this geometry. So we've used this tool before to generate curves out of geometry, but I'm going to show it again just in case anyone missed it before. So here, just create this nice little like text here. I am gonna make this thing, or freeze transformation, delete history, and I'm gonna go into edge selection mode, and I'm gonna select all of the edges that I want to convert into curves. So as you can see, all of the letters in our name are like pretty much solid, except for the E that has a little bit of a hole. That's fine. And then I'm gonna say mesh. No, it's convert. So where is it? Modify, convert, and there is one called polygon edges to curves. There we go. So now, as you can see here, we get this. That's weird. We only got one. I mean, that's fine. We can do it again, I guess. Okay, I mean, it seems like we're gonna have to do it like one specific loop at a time. That's fine. So let's just do this. It's getting a little bit rounder. That's fine. I mean, neon signs tend to be like sort of round because you can have like sharp corners on your elements. But as you can see, the curves tend to be a little bit dirty. So this is where I would suggest, in this case, going to the front view, going into control vertex mode, and either rebuilding the curves or just cleaning them up slightly. Because yes, you're gonna see some things that look a little bit ugly. So let's grab some of these points and then just start like moving them around a little bit. There we go. It's gonna look a little bit more intense. Now, for instance, here, I can definitely tell that there's way more like points that we need. So you can definitely delete extra points. That's gonna make it a little bit easier. Same thing on this part right here, like that guy right there. This one, let's move it back. And just play around with the points until you get something that looks nice. The X looks kind of nice. It looks a little bit weird, but it's not like super weird. Probably just gonna make it a little bit like fatter. There we go. The T doesn't look half bad except for this like pinches over here. There we go. Maybe a couple of pinches here that I don't want. There we go. The U also has those like weird pinches. And again, you can be a lot cleaner with the creation of this like curvatures. I would strongly recommend that you take your time, but I don't really want to focus on the modeling on this video. I want to focus on the rendering because that's where the main thing is gonna be happening. So I'm just gonna create like a figure that looks close to what we need. Here, for instance, just to save myself a little bit of time, let's just duplicate this thing and move it over there. Perfect. So that's it. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna combine all of these guys in a single object. So now they're a single. They should be a single curve. Oh, they're not. That's fine. I'm just gonna grab everything, and we're gonna use the sweep mesh. Remember, we've talked about the sweep mesh before, and we're gonna go here, create sweep mesh. I definitely want to increase the precision, and I probably want to decrease the scale a little bit. Let's increase the precision a little bit more so we get some very nice round edges. Even if we have to go like all the way to the top, I can optimize, of course, to reduce some of the effects. But there we go. We have this very interesting effect. So this would be my first like pass at the neon sign, and I'm actually gonna do something funny here. I'm gonna import the displacement map thing that we did with the lamps. Remember? So if we set the project here real quick, because I want that like nice strong wall. So if you haven't seen the displacement one, check it out. That was for Saturday. Last Saturday we talked about that one. So we have the candle lamp. It wasn't the lighthouse. Candle lamp. Oh, I think that was it then. So if I say candle lamp and say, or actually, first let's set the project. So it's this one, Nexttut live. There we go. Now on the import, if we go to the scenes, we should have the candle lamp and just say import. And there we go. So I'm definitely going to delete the lamps. We don't need the lamps. Let's actually delete anything that we don't need. I'm going to keep the render settings right now. This is just a basic HDR, and we have this like nice light over there. If you remember, most of the light was coming from the lamps themselves. So I'm going to grab all of this, guys, the geometries, and now I'm going to combine this. I'm going to move this in. Let's find a nice little effect here. So probably about there. There we go. Now, super simple. Super simple. I'm just going to grab this guy, assign a new material. We're going to go Arnold, AI standard surface. We're not going to use any color. We don't have any color in these things because the neon, like chemical, it doesn't have any surface. It just emits light, right? But we are going to have a specular. I'm going to explain why we're going to have a specular in just a second. Then I'm just going to go into transmission, turn this all the way up, and select like a green color like this. And that should be more than enough. Let me save this scene real quick. Let's call this neon sign. And then let's do a quick like render test. For this, I do think I'm going to be using GPU. Yeah, there we go. So let's do Arnold and hit render and see what we get. So technically, since we're, yeah, there we go. Since we're using the displacement and everything, we should be getting the same thing from last time. So I'm going to jump into shot cam 1. There we go. And this is what we get. So doesn't look bad, but doesn't look great yet, because even though we are using this, and as you can see, we are getting some like green light into the scene, it's not enough. It's not really doing what we would like it to do. And that's the problem with using emissive map. When you use emissive maps, they tend to just like create like a lot of noise, and you can see some of the noise like up here. Now, a very common thing that students do when the displacement or when the glow is not working the way they intended to work is they go into the material and they change the weight to something like 10. And I actually do recommend this method when it's something simple like small like little sci-fi things on a character. But for this kind of thing, it's not really gonna work, and it's not gonna work because of two things. One, yes, we're gonna get the effect that we're getting, but as you can see, we get a lot of noise over here. Let's bring this back to like 5, and again, it's not really behaving the way we would expect light to behave, like the decay and everything is not really working. And even if we bring this down to like 2, it's not really working the way we would like it to work, right? So I'm gonna stop the preview render here, and what I'm gonna do is the following thing. First, I'm gonna duplicate this guy. I'm gonna assign a new material to this guy, Arnold, AI standard surface, and this is gonna be a glass material. So I'm gonna say M glass. And I want to create like a shell on this thing. So there's going to be a little bit of overlap. Don't worry too much about this right now. I'm just going to grab all of the faces. I'm going to extrude out, Control E, and just give it like a nice little, like a very small, like outer shell, like that. So that now there's going to be like an inside and an outside, right? So I'm gonna select all of the outside meshes. All of the outside meshes, and then shift select everything inside and delete it. That way we only have like the outer edge. Okay, so that's a way to kind of like delete the outer edge. Well, it seems like we didn't get it. Oh, it seems like the okay, so no, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work as I expected. It seems like the extrusion here, did I mess up? Let me try again. Usually when we do this, we create like two. There we go. So now shift select, you can see that we selected the inner side and we delete. So now here we're gonna have an inner section, this one right here, and an outer section, this one right here. So the inner section, I am gonna bring it back to like a traditional like Lambert color. And now what I'm gonna do is, instead of giving it a glow material, I'm actually gonna go into Arnold lights, and we're gonna use this thing called a mesh light. Now the mesh light is way better than the glow because it behaves closer to what we would expect. Okay, so this is what we get now. Now right now it looks really ugly, and that's perfectly fine because well, it's not fine, right? But we're gonna make it look quite nice. Now this one, we want to make it look like glass, so I'm gonna go here in the glass. We don't have any base, and in the transmission we're gonna bring this up. So now when we render, as you can see, this is like the glass that the neon shape is made out of. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to the sweep mesh here, and there's gonna be a nice little thing called the light sweep. It's gonna take the same name, and that's the mesh light that we're using. And with this mesh light, we only need to use the color, like change the color again to the green, and start increasing the exposure to like a 5. Let's start with a 5. So now you're gonna see that we are getting the light, okay, but it's gonna start looking way nicer and way closer to what we were expecting. So let's go to like a 15, like really high. That's way too high. Let's do 12. There we go. That looks a lot nicer. I think that's still a little bit too much. Let's do like an 11 or like a 9. There we go. That looks good. Now, the reason why mesh lights are better than the glow is because mesh lights do behave like lights. So it's a little bit easier for Arnold to do the proper calculations for like light bounces and stuff when using mesh lights than when using the glow. However, the mesh lights are indeed more, they're way more expensive, okay? Now, another thing that you might see here is that we're getting some weird artifacts, and the quality of the render is not as good. And the reason why that is happening is because we need to change this. I would recommend changing this to CPU and going into the options and changing the samples that we have here. So we're using glass, we're using diffusion, we're using a lot of things. So it is a good idea to up these things a little bit just to see how things are going to start looking. So let's add this right here. And CPU is always more precise when doing like light bounce calculations than GPU. GPU is like just raw strength going and pushing the render out. But as you can see, this is going to give us a nicer effect. One thing that we might want to do, we might want to turn this light visible option, so that way we are going to see like the tube inside of the glass. So it's going to look more like a solid piece of geometry, and we're not going to be seeing through it. But again, one of the cool tricks here is that we're using 2 layers, right? There's one layer on the inside that's the actual like light being emitted, and then there's another layer on the outside, which is the glass that's like holding the whole thing together. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I think we can increase this thing a little bit. Let's go to like an 11. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. It's a little bit too intense though. Let's go to 10. I think 10 is a little bit better. Yeah. So now we have this very nice hot spots on the letters while still getting those reflections from the glass, because it's supposed to be like a glass covering the whole thing. And we're getting, of course, our nice little like green effect all the way around. Another thing that we can do, I'm not sure if this is gonna make this a little bit better or not, but when you go down here to the ray depth, we've talked about this before. Ray depth is how many times you allow a ray in the render to go through different amount of surfaces, analyze them, and then bring back information. As you can see, we only have 1 ray depth on the diffuse and 1 on the specular. I kind of want to bring this up to 4 and 4, and the transmission to 12. Of course, this is going to increase the render time, but it should give the rays more time to like really go through the glass and come back and give us like the proper solution. And yeah, this is pretty much it, guys. I mean, as you can see, it gives a nice result. You can, of course, control the amount of light that you want. Something that really helps the neon signs is when you have like, well, another thing I think would be great here. Neon signs are usually not that bright in colors. So if we take a look at the green neon sign, it's very difficult to get like a pure green. you usually get this like sort of white effect. See that? So we do get the green light, but the light is supposed to look a little bit whiter. So I think I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna get rid of some of the saturation so that we can start getting, there we go. That looks a lot nicer, right? So we push the saturation back a little bit. Now it looks more like a neon sign. It's getting us that nice green effect with the glow, with the like sort of like refraction on the glass. Another thing that really helps, and this is just an extra, but it's of course the fog, right? When there's a little bit of fog, it makes it look way nicer. So I'm gonna go here to common, and then we're gonna go, no, sorry, Arnold render, and then there's an option here called the environment, and on the atmosphere, I'm just gonna add just an AI fog. Now if I render, you're gonna see that there's a little bit of fog everywhere, and we can change the distance. Of course, that's a little bit too much. And that little fog that we add there, it's gonna add a little bit more, you know, it's gonna make the thing look or glow a little bit better. Let's do 0.005, there we go. So now that the element's gonna be diffusing through the air, and we're gonna get a very nice effect. So yeah, that's it guys. Quick and simple way to do a neon sign inside of Arnold. As you can see, the render is not taking that long. Let's bring this up to 1K or the full HD, and let's see how this looks. You can, of course, use depth of field as well. I'm not sure if I'm using depth of field here or not. I think I am, because I'm kind of seeing this thing like blurred out a little bit over here. But yeah, feel free to modify this. Now, of course, remember, we used a very simple model here with letters. We can clean this up a lot more, but not bad for a nice little intro, right? So yeah, this is it, guys. Don't forget about the discount. Don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe, comment. I'll see you back on Wednesday. We'll continue with more 3D, and yeah, just keep pushing, guys. Keep pushing. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.